Good evening, my friends. I'm Maria. This is StashBlaster Quilts, and I'm here to help you make more quilts in less time with less stress. I have not been following my own advice this week. It's been kind of a crazy time, and I'm trying to get prepared for a trip, and it just has not given me a lot of extra time to do stuff. So, I'm going to apologize right off the bat. Those of you who've been here a bunch before know that I usually start with a tip to help you get more organized either in your sewing room or in your home or in your life, and I don't have one for you this week. I had a really good one, and I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget it. I have no idea where it is. It's been one of those weeks. So yes, the organizer has been very disorganized this week. But you know, it happens to all of us. Sounds like I'm echoing. Huh. Let me see if this will fix it. Hold on. It probably won't, but let me know if that's any better. I've turned off I only have the one mic on. Judy, is that any better? No change yet. Huh. Okay. Hold on. I'm fighting with my lavalier mic. It has to be plugged in, and apparently its cord caused its own problems. So let's hold this and turn it on. So now I'm fixing this. Why is it showing that? You should be seeing me. Hopefully you're seeing me. Maybe I'm in a fabric cave. Judy, are you seeing me or are you seeing, okay. Oh, it's working? That's weird. Okay. I'm going to try this. Well, actually, no. If the camera's working, then I won't use the lavalier. But, okay, good. I just turned the lavalier mic off. Am I still echoing, Judy? I'm sorry to the rest of you that are watching this on film or on digital or playback or whatever we're going to call this. But I want to make sure that this is not an unpleasant thing. Okay. Well, I don't know what happened. It apparently decided it wanted to work for a change. I don't know. This is how my whole week has gone, so I'm not truly surprised. Okay. I did get to see my quilting buddies at the Springfield Quilt Guild. And that was really nice because, of course, they meet every Tuesday, but because of my job, I don't go unless there's a program or a business meeting on a regular basis. So this is the first time I've seen some of my quilting buddies for all summer. So that was pretty cool. That's the one fun thing I got to do all week. And actually Judy had mentioned, asked me about the live stream, and I was thinking she was thinking 2 weeks from now, not tonight. So I was going, oh, please let her be on. So it all works out. It all works out in the end. Anyway, so I do not have a tip for you this month, this session, excuse me. It's just been too harried of a week. I have the third load of laundry in right now to prep to take my clothes on this long trip I'm doing. So all in all, it's going to be good, but it takes a lot of prep work for me, and so trying to figure out, what I preload into the car, what I have to take with me to Washington, and all of this. It's multi-moving steps. And then we're applying for other speaking gigs for me, which is, of course, meaning rewriting a bunch of older material in terms of the applications and getting those out on time. I am going to try to go back to England again. That was the class that I was teaching where Scott got his cancer diagnosis just a few days, like 3 days after I booked the tickets. And there was nothing I could do to get a refund on his ticket, even though it was 3 months in advance. That made me really mad because they resold the seats to other people but wouldn't refund me for the seat. So, or even partially. So I lost a lot of money on that job, but that was okay. But I'm hoping if they have me back, then Scott will be able to come with me this next time. And now we have insurance. I did not want to pay $300 a ticket to insure that flight before, because we've never had a problem with the flights. And that seemed obscene. It was 20%, almost 20% of the ticket price. And I said no. And then I wound up losing half of the money because I still went, but Scott couldn't go. So we actually go through a regular insurance company now, and they have trip insurance, so it's good for the entire year, whatever many flights you take, whatever. And it covers not only what you've paid out for a flight, but it also covers a rental car fee, all of that, a hotel your first night or whatever because you can't necessarily cancel it quickly enough. So it's a nice thing, and it costs less than the $300 for that one ticket to cover us for the whole year. So I'm like, okay, fine. But here's hoping that that's not a problem again. This time, instead of being in London, that particular conference is in Manchester, which is as far from the northern border as London is from the southern border. But what we can do is fly into Manchester and then take a train down towards London to do things like the museum and that kind of stuff that I got to do on my own with my student Maddie, and he didn't get to, and it was very cool. So we would want to spend the time to do that. So that's the one thing. And then there's, a couple of other ones that I'm trying to get, but we'll see. But that's another thing I've been spending all week trying to do. Plus, because I'm going to be gone for more than 2 weeks, I'm trying to get all my clients in for one last visit before I go. And then I'm trying to coordinate with my other organizers to cover for me if it's somebody with a short turnaround time. So there's a lot of pieces. But overall, I'm glad that it's coming along, and I'm on track. So on my calendar of all the stuff I have to do, I am keeping up, but I'm running full tilt to do it. And like I said, that piece of paper just got lost. I'm sure it's in with the marketing material I was reviewing or the other stuff I was reviewing, and I will find it when I get back, if I don't find it in the meantime. But it's okay. My loving community, I'm sure, will cut me a little bit of slack. You always do. You're very kind to me. And thank you for being here. If this is your first time here, like I said, I would normally start with a tip. And the reason for that is I am a professional organizer. So that's what I do all day, every day, is help people get more organized. This year, since I also do professional quilting, I'm not taking any commissions because I'm working on my son's wedding quilt. And so I keep refining in my head how it's going to work, and it's coming along. Unfortunately, I updated my little card with the highs and lows to go all the way through the end of August, which means I had like these extra houses cut out, more than I needed, and now I don't. I have a lot more houses to cut out because it's from the last 2 months. So I'll have more of those to do later, but I still have plenty to sew in the meantime. And so today we're going to be sewing some houses so that you can hang out with me as I do that. But my son and daughter-in-law got back from their trip to California. They had a wonderful time at the Anaheim Pokemon Convention. I still don't get it. I will never get it 100%. But it makes them happy. It's how they met. And so because they went to Anaheim, I'm going to put a little Anaheim billboard in our town with the dates of Anaheim and then August blank to blank, if I can fit the writing in other than the Anaheim part. But I can't do that until I get the entire layout finalized, because I don't know where the open spaces are going to be because of my curved roads. If this was just houses next to each other with a little strip for a road and then the houses the next one, I'd be able to calculate that. But I can't because I have all these curving roads. I'm also debating with myself. They got married in February. So if I start at the top of the quilt with that February arc, then I go February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February. Because the high temperature that's 30 or below is black and gray, it means that the whole top part of the quilt would be blacks and grays with just a few pops of colors. We did have an 80-degree day in March. But it would make the quilt kind of blocky top to bottom. Kind of almost an ombre through the rainbow, which is kind of a cool idea, but I'm not sure I like it. One thing I'm debating on doing is mixing up the order of the months and having, maybe a street with gray houses and a street with pink houses and then a street with green houses, mostly. Because I would have each road be 1 month. Okay, I'm not going to just randomly mix them, but each road be a month. But because the house number is the date, you could still find the house that represents a particular date. So it wouldn't be as chaotic to try to figure out if there wasn't a key right on the quilt. So that's why I think that might work. I'm not sure. So if you have an opinion, please feel free to comment. What? I just got a thing on my window that the host ended my Zoom meeting, but I wasn't in one. So I don't know what that was. Sorry about that. Anyway. But it would allow for more color balance throughout the quilt. And I think that might help. But if you have an opinion, either email me. Oh, I didn't hang up my email. It's mail, M-A-I-L, at StashBlasterQuilts.com. You can email me there. You can leave a comment. Or if you happen to be here while we're doing this, you're more than welcome to put something in the chat. But while I kind of like the way it would fall, I'm not sure. And having the darkest colors at the top seems wrong, since like blacks and browns are heavier colors as a general rule. Having them at the top would be weird. But I don't want to start the wedding at the bottom and go up and over. Because that's kind of like I'm predicting, oh yeah, they started out fine, and then things got really, really great, and then they crashed and burned at the end of the year. So I'm not really happy with that idea either. But I am still laying the whole thing out. I did tell the kids that I couldn't stop. I couldn't finish collecting the data for a full year from their wedding date, so I need at least a year after that to do the top. Everything I'm doing now gets me a little bit ahead of the game, but because I didn't go simple, it's still likely going to take me all next year. So I'm not taking any commissions this year, and I may not be taking any next year the way it's going. But every house that I can get made gives me a little breathing room, because doing the curves is going to get weird. And so I want to make sure that what I'm doing is going to work the way I expect it to work. So that's what's going on with that. All right, let me get a slug here. Oh, I saw my PT today. This week. And I told her I'd been having problems with vertigo. And so she did all kinds of testing on me. And she thinks it's my blood pressure. I went from 140 to 165 just standing up. The last time I was at the doctor, it was at 120 was my high. So both of them were a lot higher this time, and they both spiked even higher when I stood up. So she told me, you're only water. Okay, I have tea. That's close enough because it's decaf tea. But nothing carbonated, nothing sweet, none of that. And to avoid artificial sweeteners. You're supposed to drink 1 ounce of water for every 2 pounds of weight you have. And I looked at her and I said, that's insane. And she said, no, that's what you use. So I have been drinking a lot of tea. But I'm still only getting about half of what I'm supposed to get in the course of the day. I do let myself have soda if I'm out and around. So today I saw my oral surgeon for my tooth, and I'll fill you in on that too. And then I went to a client's, and so I stopped and got lunch, so I got a soda there. And I'm allowing myself to do that, so I can still have some sodas. I'm not going full, cold turkey, but food doesn't taste right. It just doesn't taste right. And when I'm on this trip, it's all soda all the time. That's all there is to it. I'm not going to make myself miserable and while I'm dealing with everything I need to deal with on the trip. Anyway, so I went and saw the oral surgeon. This had been removed a few months ago, this back molar, because it had broken basically in half. And the dentist was saying, well, they could fix it, but it wouldn't last too long because there's been so many cavities and so many fillings over so many years. So she suggested getting it extracted and doing an implant. So, okay. So I did the extraction. That was a bit of a nightmare. You know you're in trouble when the doctor is looking in her hand with part of your body on it, and she just said, wow. Somebody who does extractions all day, every day, when you can impress them with your extraction, it's never a good reason why. So when I get back from this trip, we have to do the prep for the implant. So it's going to be another 6 weeks of soft foods and yada, yada, yada. But that's okay. At least I'll be here. She said definitely don't do it before the trip, just because the altitude changes from being in the plane would be a real problem. Luckily, I'm getting it done so that I should be able to eat Thanksgiving dinner with the family. There might be 1 or 2 things to avoid, but for the most part, I should be eating normally at that point. So, fingers crossed. But anyway, so that was another part of my day today. My computer is spazzing out here. So let me know if something weird happens here, but it's trying to open windows and do all kinds of weird stuff to me. So if it's interfering with the function of the website, please let me know. Anyway, I don't know if I told you last time, I've been having some trouble with my skin. That's why I have like this little red patch right here. I'm getting that treated as well, and I no longer wish to claw my face off, so that's doing well too. So all in all, things are getting better, but it's still been weird. In 2 weeks, because we meet the 1st and the 3rd, No, my keyboard is actually just on the shelf behind my sewing machine, and it's all by itself. But thank you. And my mouse is completely independent over here as well, and there's nothing on it. It's just things were popping up on my computer, and I don't know why. I don't think it's infected or anything, but sometimes it just does strange stuff. Oh, what was I talking about? I forgot. I don't remember. Oh, yes, we meet the first and third Wednesday here at 7 o'clock. That's why we started today. And I do start about 15 minutes early to give you time to get settled after you get the alert so that you're ready to be here with us. Now, most of you, I know, you're going to watch it some other time, and that's fine too. Okay, I'm just happy that you're coming by. But I don't know if in 2 weeks I'm going to be able to do this. I've installed all the right software. It all seems to test fine. And I should be able to do a short little update in 2 weeks. I'm not going to do the full hour because I'm not going to have a sewing machine. I'm not going to have any of my stuff. There's not going to be any... I'll be telling you about the whole trip the first Wednesday of October anyway. So it'll just be a quick little thing. But I've done that before where I've tested and it's worked, and then I go somewhere and it doesn't work. So I will try to be here. If this is something that you like to come and watch, please come. I truly appreciate your time. But if I'm not here, I'm not sick, I haven't been hit by a bus, I will be back. It's just I couldn't get it to work in a hotel room. The Wi-Fi is so weird. The laptop versus my desktop computer can make all kinds of differences. I never know for sure. So if you do not see me in 2 weeks, do not despair. I will be back the first Wednesday of October. Okay? All right, so let's do some sewing. I have done some of these. Camera 3, here we go. I did some of the sewing before I got the initial seams done, but I need to finish the one block that looks like this, where we put the house number in here, and this is the upper portion. And I'm going ahead and starting to sew one of the long seams, because then I can clip the remaining pieces to this set and keep all the pieces together, because every time I try to just keep them in order so that I can sew them back together, I'll look at it and say, yep, that's the right one, and there's going to be at least 2 of them that I'll mess that up on and have to rip them apart and resew them. And when the pieces are small like this, the more times you rip it apart, the bigger the problems you have. It's the same with big pieces as well, but there's less structural integrity here. So it's more likely to bite you on the smaller pieces than big ones. I did get an email from one of you asking what is the largest block I've ever actually made. Because if you're new here, little tiny blocks tend to be what I gravitate towards. And so I was mentioning one of my quilts has a giant sun in the middle, which is about 24 inches square. And I got back laughter because, yes, that was a block, but this particular person apparently likes to sew medallions in the centers, and then she puts on a ton of borders. And the smallest block she's ever made, once she was past her initial stages, not counting borders, just an individual block. The smallest she makes is 24 now, and her borders are like 6 inches wide. And for me, that's just insane. I feel so strange sewing blocks that big because they go on forever. So I do find it funny that she was laughing at me about that. But we all have our things, right? Thank goodness for that. All right. Oh, hold on. I need to do this in this order or I get myself turned around. So I need to do the block with the number on it first, and then I'll do the one with the door, which is what I was lining up. But this allows me to keep everything in order so I don't start messing with it. Alright. And that is the way I want it to go. So anyway. I think that the computer being spastic has stopped for now. That's good. I did have someone at one of my quilt guilds ask me if I'd be president, and I couldn't stop laughing. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. It's not that I wouldn't be willing. I just have no idea when I would have the time. I keep getting roped into things with my business, and then there's all this travel and stuff, which is what I want to do more than working in the houses because of the physicality of what I do. So I need to get out of the field. I need to be doing more stuff either at home or flying and teaching, because standing up and talking for either a few hours or a few days is fine. It's not nearly as physical as lifting and hauling boxes and all of that. So, I'm trying to do that, but it's almost like starting a new company. Even though I've been doing it for years, finding the opportunities to speak isn't that easy. And what I really want to do are keynotes, but and one of the reasons for that is because they actually pay you. Most of the conventions I speak at not only don't pay, but they don't even reimburse your expenses to get there, no matter where in the country or the world that you are. Their theory is your speaking is advertising for your trainings that you do, and so you should be grateful to be allowed to speak. It's kind of their attitude. And so that becomes a problem when it costs you, a few $1,000s sometimes. Oh, and sometimes they don't even give you free registration as a speaker. Some will do it for the day that you speak. Some don't do it at all. So you're paying, $500 minimum for the registration and your hotel and everything else in order to be able to give them the content that they're charging all these people for, which just doesn't really seem fair to me, but it is how I need to go about doing this. So I do sell trainings off of the speeches that I give. That's why I was in Kansas City not that long ago. But you can't count on it. And there have been years where we haven't booked a single thing off of a convention, but we've still spent tens of thousands of dollars attending them. That gets a bit scary when that's going to be your income. So one thing that I've been considering is changing my topics. What I normally speak on is hoarding and organizing and things like that, because that's what I've spent 30 years doing. But I'm thinking about either going into motivational speaking. I did have one of my assistants years ago say that I should teach a course on adulting. Basically all the stuff you need to know to be a productive adult, including how to handle your finances and how to not keep dating the same jerk in different faces. Those kinds of things, how to treat people. That has more general appeal than what I do, and so it might work better. But then again, that's a whole new market, and you got to break into it. And that is a very full market for speakers. So there's nobody else, well, not nobody, but there's very few people that teach about hoarding the way I do. It is my niche. But there's only just so many times a convention wants you there to talk about it. So it's a challenge. And so I keep looking at my future, basically, and trying to figure out what do I want and how can I get it. So I've been spending quite a bit of time, doodling and trying to get my brain to tell me what it really wants to do. But right now I don't think it's talking to me. So, at least not this week. But that's okay. There's nothing wrong with having your brain, just do its own thing for a while. Okay, that is the last one where I've done some of the sewing. So let me clip on this last batch here. Okay, so these two pieces are one house, and this is a different house. So this is where I'm going to sever it. Normally I would cut after the last piece here, but I want to keep the whole house together. So I'm going to clip here. And I know that's not the right kind of scissors that I should be using. I should be using little ones or nippers, but this is what I had handy, and I wasn't going to spend time looking for it. Okay, I have my cutting gizmo here. So I'm just going to go ahead and separate all of these. And so first I have the one with the clip, and then I have the one with the door. So now it's going to be easy for me to just put these together in the stacks and move them over. Clip. Door. Clip. Door. So all of these purples are generally close to the same color. They're not exactly, but they're close enough. So this is one set of threads. I will be changing both my upper and lower threads for subsequent house sets. But it's nice to be able to sew a whole bunch of them together like this and not have to change out the thread all the time. Okay, and now I move my gizmo, and I get my iron going. I know I should have done it earlier. So sue me. Anyway, if this is the first time that you're watching this quilt that you're looking at that I'm assembling are 2-inch houses, and it is a temperature quilt. So the main body of the house, which is what I'm sewing now, is the high temperature for the day, and the roof is the low temperature for the day. And yes, I could have reversed them, but I kind of liked that because I like the bigger chunk to be the better part of the day. Really, that's what it is. And a lot of super crazy roofs kind of struck me as odd. There's going to be some. But not as bad as I was thinking. I also didn't pick one color for the house in a particular 10-degree range. I picked a color family. So, for example, orange is anything from 80 to 89 degrees, but it can be any shade of orange. And red and pink are the 70s. So the nice thing about it is I'll be able to have a red house next to a pink house so that it's not all just fabric 5 and there's 8 of them in a row, right? Or more. It'll be various shades in that color family, so it'll give it a little bit more interest. And then I'm going to put those houses on curved roads. And I think I mentioned that earlier, but I can't remember for sure. That's going to add a level of complexity. And I started this thinking I was going to do something simple. And then I kept shooting myself in the foot until my foot was gone. So I'm going to be putting them on the curved roads. Okay, that's fine. Then I'm going to give each road a name associated with marriage. So like Friendship, Lover's Lane, Tolerance Terrace, things like that. And then I'm going to embroider rings on the doors for the dates that have a family wedding, and either party hats or cakes for birthdays. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of embroidery of things like pumpkins for Halloween. Maybe a flag for the 4th of July, unless there's a wedding or a birthday. May just embroider a flag outside that particular house. I'm not going to do a ton of embroidery, okay? I'm not. But there's still going to be probably 40 small embroideries on this thing. But what's nice, I think, is that if there's another marriage, they can put... And my daughter-in-law is a fiber artist. That's one of the things that she went to college for. So either she or a friend of hers could embroider just a simple pair of golden rings. And this could be like a living document of the family in the future. At least I think it could be, assuming that they like it. If they don't like it, I don't know what I'm going to do. Other than cry. Because this thing is going to take me 2 years to do. And thousands of hours. And you guys are going to get to watch me pull my hair out as I do it. But... then I'm going to add in things that are special, like that Anaheim sign. And then I'm going to quilt it with Pokemon. And so I think that the town is going to be just the top of a queen-size bed, not counting the upper foot, because that's where the pillows would be. So I want everything to be visible on the top. And then, so that's a foot, and then I'm going to do 1 foot on each side and the bottom. So if at some point they did want to hang it, they could, and have it be, even. I don't think it'll be square, because I don't think a queen size, well, I know a queen size isn't square if you take that top foot off. So it'll be rectangular, but it would be something where you could see the whole thing. So here's something. But I'm going to be quilting around every house, and then on the borders, I'm going to quilt it with the Pokemon. So that's going to be a bit of a challenge too, but I'm going to give it a shot. And then, of course, I'm doing something special on the back. So this simple little project has gone completely off the rails, but I think they'll like it. And it will definitely be a one of a kind. And I hope that that's something that they'll use for a long time. That's all I can do. If they ever move to a king-size quilt, maybe I'll add a ruffle to it or something, but I'm not redoing it. But yeah, it's gonna be a lot. But hopefully they'll like it. Okay, so my iron's hot. I'm going to be doing some simple pressing. I'm assuming you guys don't want to see that. So I'm going to be pressing the pieces where there's... And I'll open this up here. So the one side is pressed, but I'm going to finish pressing this block where the house number is. And then since I've already attached the door block to the outer block, I'll be pressing this as well. For each of these houses. And then I'm going to clip them back together again so I don't lose any of the parts. I'm going to do a few in a row, but I'm going to keep them all right next to each other. So that it actually works. Be nice if that worked, right? Okay. So I'm going to move my iron. I'm going to move my iron right now to this side. Okay, so that's my extras. So I'm using the ironing technique that I showed a long time ago. Well, maybe I should turn this. Okay, I'm going to move the camera first so that I don't make people seasick. And then I'm going to do studio mode. Camera 3. Well, that's not too bad. Let me move it down more. Okay, so now I'm going to stop doing that. Okay. Now, when I switch over, there we go. Yeah, see my bare feet? Sorry. So let me move this a little bit. Okay. Alright, so here's my next batch. Oh, and I forgot this here. Okay, so here's my extra piece. So I want to press this to the purple. So I put the purple on top, and I fold it back, and I line it up, and then I'm going to gently run my fingernails across that seam in a finger press, right? So, wrong one. There we go. It's like, wait a minute. Okay, so here I want to press it towards the grass because this is all one piece, so I don't want to be fighting with the seam and getting it all bulky. So I'm going to press it this way. I'm going to push it back, but then I'm going to run my nail. Okay. And then what I'm going to do, because they're going to stay open a little bit better this way, once I get another couple on here, then I will go ahead and press, not iron, press each of these as I go across. Okay? Alright, camera 1. We're back here. So yes, I realize you're looking at the side of my head, but I think that might be better in some ways. Maybe not. I could be wrong. If I am, sorry. See, if you were live with me, then you could tell me and I would fix it. I was watching a guy, he was doing a live stream, and he said something like that. But he has like 3 million followers, so at any given time there's a few thousand on, even though it's a small percentage of all the people that follow him and watch his videos. It's still a lot of people, and they flooded the chat. It was kind of funny to watch, and he's just like, I'm not going to say that again. But, you know, live and learn. But there's 60 of you. And in the in the last 2 weeks, 25 of you have watched the last video, which I think is amazing. I think that is just flippin' amazing. But that's still 25 people, not like 2,500 people watching it live, and the rest watching it later. So, yeah, I don't anticipate things going off the rails here. Alright, I'm going to do one more. I'm just doing the finger pressing on this last one, so that gives me 4 houses that I'm going to be pressing with my iron all at once. Alright, so here's my iron. So what I'm doing is I'm pressing each one, but I'm leaving the iron to go over the ones that I've already pressed, so that they're getting some really good heat for quite a while I do this. It's just the last ones I have to give a little bit of extra attention to. Now, if you want really tight press lines, what you do is you have like a 2x4 or a block of wood, and you press it to how you want it, and then you put the block of wood on top and some weight, and then you leave it alone until it's completely cool. So that could be 5 to 10 minutes of it just sitting there. Most of us, we want to clear the way so that we can do more pressing, because we're not going to press only, 5 seams and fill up the ironing board and have to wait. I do try to leave it in place until it cools, but I'm not adding the weight. But the weight will give you beautiful seams. I'm a little impatient. Okay. But I do let them cool. So, not all the time, but most of the time. Okay, so now that the first one's cooled, I'm going to go ahead and pick up those pieces, add the extras to it, clip it, and set it aside so that I will be ready and have all of my pieces together for that house when I'm ready to do the next ones. So each house is a little bundle just like this. Okay, so it started out basically 1 inch wide, now it's about 1.5 inches wide, and ultimately I will get to the 2.5 inch wide because that's the raw size for these houses. Now, when I'm working alone, I tend to do what I did with the first part of this that I processed, and that is that I will do a ton of pieces, particularly if I'm not doing something that I have this many changes for. But let's say I was doing a red and white quilt, 2 fabric red and white quilt. I would probably do 300-400 seams. They come off my machine into a box, and then I take the box downstairs, and then in front of the TV when I'm watching it with my husband, I will use my gizmo and I'll cut them all apart, and then I press them all. I built a 2x6 foot ironing board, so I just start pressing at this end, and I work my way down the table, and by the time I get down here, then I can start here and pick up a row or 2 or 3, and then start pressing again, then pick up the next set, start pressing again. So that's one thing that I do, particularly when I'm doing something like a commission quilt, where I'm trying to be highly efficient on my time, but still do a really good job and let those seams cool. By processing it like that, I can keep moving. And I can also spend some time with my husband, who for some reason after 30 years still likes to spend time with me, which seems kind of weird, but it's the truth. So it lets us watch movies or stand-up comedy or something like that together, but I'm still feeling productive. Being alone in your sewing room is a wonderful thing, and sometimes it helps keep your family members alive, because if they're not in the room with you, you don't want to kill them. But being able to do some of this with, in the same room as him is nice. I usually have a handwork project going, and I do that in the living room as well. So if I don't have ironing to do, I do that. But because of my injured thumbs, they're being very slow to recover, especially on weeks like this when I'm going full out the whole time. I'm grabbing client things and going very quickly. Yeah, my hands are hurting. I felt it. And for some reason, I slept weird with this hand yesterday, last night, and I woke up and it was screaming, and I'm not sure why. So the handwork has taken a back seat. It's got to wait till my hands recover. But that's okay. I'll get to it when I get to it. This quilt has the top priority for me this year. When I can do handwork, I will. It feels very weird being at my quilt guild and not being sewing. And that's what I was doing today. It felt very odd. But that's the kind of place I take my handwork to, so that I can be still working on a project. And if my hands are moving, in general, my mouth is not. And that can be a good thing in a group environment. So that's another reason why. And it works for me. It really does. Okay, so I've pressed those, so now I'm going to set out the next set of 4. All right. So we finished reading a book. Scott and I, when we go places, like to go to our sons to play games, or to go see a show, or to go to dinner, or anything like that. Anytime we were in the car together, I drive because I do not ride well. I am a much better driver, and I have a very queasy stomach when I'm not driving. And I think part of it is because my eyes are moving around differently on the driver's side than they do when you're a passenger. And so I don't notice the motion as much because I'm also focused on driving safely. So we have read tons of books this way. I'd say at least 100, and probably closer to 500. But Jonathan and Lauren, Lauren got this book, The Moth and the Night, and so she read it, and then basically said, we need to have a book club, and just for this one book. And so she got Jonathan to read it, and her sister. And so Scott and I finished it Sunday night. And so we were on our way. Actually, we were waiting for them to get. We went. All right. Sorry. Restart. We went to the Hamilton in D.C. for lunch, but they took the metro. So we drove back, and then Lauren, Jonathan, and her sister Kim took the metro. So they took longer. So while we were waiting for them, we finished the book. That's how close to done we were. So we finished the book, and we were very. It was very odd. It's a good book. It's an interesting story. It's got some interesting psych behind it. It is a fantasy, so it's not here. Okay, it's not just regular people. It's not a heart tugger or anything like that. But it was a pretty good book. But now we're out, so now we have to find another book. If you have a favorite book, and science fiction, fantasy, or something really light tends to work the best for me. So the stuff I listen to on audiobook tends to be trash. It's, werewolf romance, kind of silly stuff. Comedians, that kind of stuff. I don't want to, although I do occasionally listen to political podcasts, that's not my thing. I want something light while I drive. So that, I don't have to super concentrate on it, but also I don't want to be depressed while I'm driving. That's the kind of thing that tends to lead to people being aggressive. So if I can be laughing along the way, that's the best. So if you have any recommendations for what book we should listen to, or I should listen to, or we should read next, I would love to get it from you. It's always interesting to see what people suggest whenever you ask them for their opinions on something. So I would love to know what you guys think. If you have like a favorite, like I said, we have read all of the Wheel of Time. We have read everything that Anne McCaffrey ever wrote, all of her series. We have read all of the Fellowship of the Ring, the Ring story from The Hobbit all the way through. We have read all of the myth books. There's been a whole bunch of other books along the way. We have read all of the Cormoran Strike books. That was what we did fairly recently. Of course, there's a new book coming out soon, but not soon enough. I have 2 of these left, so I'm going to see if I can knock these out before 8 o'clock. So, obviously, while those would be amazing options, and I would really like them, too late. So, if you have something other than those, I would love to hear it. Because it's always good to have something engaging to listen to while you're driving. So, that's that. Oh, I also had somebody ask me about the quilt for the year. I did start one that I was showing all y'all. And the only comments I got back from people on it were that they thought it was interesting, but they didn't think they would do it. And so then the wedding came, and it just kind of flew out of my head as something. If you would like me to go back to that, I have the sample done that I showed you before. But I can certainly talk about it again and try to do some sewing on it. But that will be, only sewn on pretty much when I'm on with you guys, because every other sewing moment's going to be on this quilt. So let me know what you think. If you want me to just postpone it until afterwards and pick it up again later, that's fine too. But that's still on my wall over there, so I haven't forgotten about it. I've just set it aside. Alright, our time is almost up. I do try to end on time and respect your time and effort. I did just press the last 2 of the houses that I've been working on. So that will be 10. Once these last seams are sewn, it should only take, there's only 2 more seams per house, body. So that's pretty easy. Given the fact that I will have been run ragged all the way until our first meeting in October, I'll probably be doing roofs again. Because they're so quick and easy, and it's something that I can do and not have to worry about the changes and all that. And I still need 366 of them, so even if I do a bunch of them, there's a lot that are going to be needed by the end. So I'm okay with that. I was actually, by the way, I was surprised with the temperature quilt. I honestly was starting to wonder when we had 80s in March and 90s in May that we were going to have some 100-degree days. We had some days with feels like temperatures in the hundreds for weeks, but the highest temperature we got was 99. We got that once. We got a couple of 98s and a few 97s, but it has not crested the 3-digit line yet. And temperatures are going down. I've been noticing that my lows are coming in with different colors, and I'm surprised in August. Usually August is a very hot month, but not this year. So it's been kind of interesting to see because it's so different. Anyway, thank you all for coming. Feel free to like and subscribe. Judy, it just says hello. I don't know what that means. Feel free to like and subscribe, ring the bell. If you want to get notifications, if you click on the bell, then it will send you an alert when I start the live stream, which again is about 15 minutes in advance of the start time to give you some time to get settled and ready. But other than that, I will see you hopefully in 2 weeks, but if not, I will see you the first Wednesday in October. So I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and you take care, and Silicone Mage. Huh. I think I may have read that. I know I've read some Barbara Hambley, but I'm not sure about the Silicone Mage, so I will look and see if that's in my library. Thank you, Judy. Anyway, y'all have a great week. Take care. I will see you no later than the first Wednesday of October. All right? Have a good one. Bye-bye.